Let me tell you a few things. Starting from Genesis. God said the consequence of sin was going to be death. And death meant separation from God. In the final analysis, God is involved. Are you there? Are you there? When Joseph was in the house of Potiphar, and Potiphar's wife wanted to have an affair with Joseph, what did Joseph say? Joseph said, look at all the things my boss has done in this house. He has handed everything over to me. He trusts me so much, and on and on and on. He doesn't know anything that happens in this house. The only thing he's kept away from me is you, because we are his wife. How then? Against who? Is Potiphar's wife God's wife? If Joseph were to sleep with Potiphar's wife, would it not be that he... So how did God come into that story? And this was Joseph before Jesus came. He knew enough to know that the first person that I will be violating if I go this route is God. Old Testament. When David sinned with Bathsheba, and the prophet Nathan came to David, after breaking the story to David, and David came under conviction, what did he say? He said, against God only have I sinned. I said, how about this? This is not good. The man didn't just say against God. He said against God only. A man died in this story. Hello? Uriah, isn't it? Uriah the Hittite, the what? Huh? Yes, Uriah the Hittite. A man died. It wasn't just that you cheated, you committed adultery with the man's wife, you killed the man. Now you came under conviction, and the first thing the man says, God, against you only have I sinned. He said it in Samuel, he said it in Psalm 51. I don't have time to read it. You can go read it. He said it was against God only that he had sinned. In the New Testament, when the prodigal son was ready to go home, what did he say? When he rehearsed his confessional before he left the far country, he said, so I'm going to go home. And when I meet my dad, he rehearsed his sermon that he was going to use to confess. When I meet my dad, I'm going to say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. The prodigal son knew enough, and in the sequence of his confessional, he mentioned above before he mentioned below. I've sinned against heaven. And in Mark chapter 2, Jesus is in Capernaum, and he enters into this house, and then people gathered. You know the story of the paralytic that was brought by 4 people, and they had to open the roof and remove the ceiling, let down the man into the room where Jesus was. As soon as when Jesus saw their faith and saw the young man, what was the first thing that came out of the mouth of Jesus? He said, son, your sins are forgiven you. Excuse me, there are all kinds of things that ordinarily are wrong with that. Jesus is a paralyzed man, and the first thing he talked about was sin. Now, how much sin can a paralyzed man commit? The man cannot even indulge in his own natural desires. If he says it's what I want to drink, and it is pito that you feed him, that's what he's going to drink. If the man says, I want to eat Irish, but what you did was cassava, you boiled cassava, that's what he will eat. He said, is that my white agbada I want to wear? But then you put the black. This man cannot even ease himself by himself if you don't help him. Now, how much sin can an invalid commit that Jesus saw the man obvious than his paralysis? The first thing out of his mouth was, your sins are forgiven you. And the moment he said that, all hell were let loose. The theological minds of the scribes and the Pharisees went to work. They said, this man is a blasphemer. He's a blasphemer. Because who can forgive sins except God only? 2 things. Number 1, how can Jesus be forgiving the man's sins that he's meeting for the first time if the man had not been sinning against Jesus? Hello? If we were driving on the road and you bash my car and then I parked, So there's a little traffic situation. Then somebody came out of his own car and said, what happened here? And the person that bashed my car said to sir, I was distracted while driving, so I ran into his car. Then that stranger now tells the man that ran into my car. He pats the man on the back and says, okay, don't worry. You are forgiven. Just take your car and go. Hello? Don't you think we should withdraw that man's driver's license? The man that is forgiving the person that ran into my car, is it normal? No, talk to me. Is it normal? How can he forgive the sin of the man that ran into my car when it was my car that they ran into? Who is he in the equation? If anything, he should be begging me, asking me to forgive, because I'm the one that has been transgressed. So when Jesus comes and he's saying your sins are forgiven, he was actually saying that every sin you ever committed, it was against me.